I'm going to start the same lecture I did yesterday. This is for the Ayurvedic school. We had a topic of Pitta, digestion and nutrition. And I'm going to recapture what I spoke about so that we will have it for future purpose so that I will remember what all I spoke about. My name is Vasu Brown. I am an addiction specialist. I am certified addiction specialist, substance abuse professional, and wound care certified. I specialize in ortho, molecular medicine. Ortho means correct, molecular means biochemical structure of the cell. Essentially, it's a correct cellular medicine. And because Pitta layer is the inner shaft, if you understand how my teacher is Paramahamsa Nityananda. I also had multiple other teachers. So I'm so grateful to have his knowledge because he came across the ultimate source, Sadashiva's cookbook, which was 20 to 50,000 year old. And he invited us on 2016 December to come and celebrate with him 21 days. And he prepared all the meals according to Bhaga Shastra, which is the cookbook. Shastra is the methodologies behind cooking. So cookbook from the ultimate source, Sada Shiva himself. And he explains Shiva means possibilities, Sada eternal possibilities. And like able to rewrite anything in our life. And that being said, this is my logo. This is Yin and Yang. It is Varahi Yantra. I'm a clairvoyant. Varahi appeared to me in 2014. I think it was September 29, 2014. She appeared and she allowed me to redo the yantra. Usually, traditionally, it used to be red and yellow. And because Varahi is about seed and course of seed and sowing what we want, reaping what we want, she is the holder of the ultimate seed of karma, which is prarabdha karma, they say. And I, with her permission, I use durba grass because she's represented as holy durba grass. We use the palette of fresh durba grass versus the dry durba grass, and I did her yantra. And this is seven states of mind. This is my teacher with my favorite, my secret crush is Vishnu in the under the banyan tree, and I saw my mom in clairvoyance sitting under the banyan tree meditating with um, my teacher space. So I wanted to honor that. So I am so grateful for all the sources I received so far to come this far in my life. Now this so the Ayur means life. Veda is science or philosophy. So the science of life or philosophy of life. It is from an ancient science, which was a divine knowledge for a path of living healthy and a happy life. In India, everything is about God, and the first God who for health, who is called Lord Dhanvantri, and he has the scrolls which is made with dry palm leaves, and you could see the herbs, and all the knowledge is coming from body of wisdom from the water, and he has the sacred waters, and the truth is considered as the conch shell. And so there are like so many hidden meanings which I don't even comprehend. And he's the divine knowledge, and is derived from Lord Brahma. Brahma is meaning he created the knowledge, created of the universe. Previously, the teachers used to impart these wisdom to their disciples verbally, and later on, they wrote down in the form of verses and they used to sing. So that's why all the four Vedas they evolved: Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda. I'm blanking out of from the other one. Rig, Yajur, Sama, Yatur. Yajur Veda? I forgot. Anyway, I'm sure, you guys know what I'm talking about. So initially it was sung, by the way, and then afterwards all the scriptures, there was a tsunami like event. They said deluge, some sort of a deluge happened, and it all disappeared into the ocean. And then the God, the sustainer, he took the form of a turtle and he brought the knowledge back. The shaft of life built itself, and the creation was regenerated. And this is the original scriptures. And Sankhya means liberating logic. All these, like, I'm so grateful for my teacher because he really gives me words, because I have a visual and a phonetic memory. And I do not have words sometimes because I can see, but I cannot really put it into sentences what I'm thinking about. And he liberated me, my teacher, Paramahamsa Nityananda, because he gave me the words what I was looking for. Sankhya, he says, is liberating logic. So we have three different spaces the way we learn. It is the logical brain, and then the next is the visual brain, and the depth, which is the phonetic brain, right? So when the phonetic brain is perceiving, making sense of what we see, what we hear into understanding, and then bringing it up. And in ancient wisdom, it's given to us. The water holds wisdom. And I think water crystal experiment is something you guys all probably should be aware. So I'm going to go back. This is one thing I showed yesterday during the lecture. If you say something to the water, it will hold it for you. So this is the picture I wrote about. So when you say compassion, when water crystallizes, it crystallizes beautifully. When people say negative word, the water flows that way. So water holds wisdom, and we are 72% body of water. And so we have the ancient knowledge in us. So the only way we learn is unlearning the falseness from this life, and that's how you get ahead. The wisdom is granted. The only reason you need knowledge is to unmask what you perceived as incorrect information. So that's why you need teachers, because otherwise you're going to get into these false beliefs. It doesn't even matter. Then Indian government, in a new move they made, they granted privileges to body of water as a living entity. So it has now legal rights in India and New Zealand, two countries. They decided to, this is one thing I quoted. So they made the bench of justice showed that it has a right to represent and work. Change is coming, Danny. So they decided, provide us millions and fertile plains to feed, and they decided that this would be considered having a right, but also as a living entity. Where is it? I think I got it. So it will bring together various cleansing and conserving river project, and New Zealand had same hearing where it was granted a living entity status, and they quoted the same status, and they decided to do the same thing to River Ganges. From now on, it will be considered to have its own rights, and it will have same privileges. So they have legal rights, which is amazing. I'm so glad it happened finally. Okay, so now you understand why it is important to understand these pieces, because in Ayurveda, it's only 5 elements, right? So if you understand it, everything is to be honored. And so Sankhya, liberating logic, allows you to understand and perceive, and then that allows you to put it into practice what we need to honor. And so Acharya Kapila Mahamuni became the first person to hold these 3 pieces: length, which is the liberating logic; breadth, which is the width, or is it the visual brain; and the phonetic, the depth, cognizing brain. And he described 24 principles that involved in the formation of universe, which is avyakta, that is the unmanifest, where it becomes manifest; has five sense faculties, five motor faculties, five great elements, five tanmantras, and this evolved further and formed the universe. And my teacher is a descendant of Kapila Muni, and I decided to follow him because he kind of talks like me, so I feel I get him more easy. But I have tons of other teachers too who I really admire and respect. My original teacher was Mahaguruji Mailing, then Master Chawakutsui, Padmasambhava, Babaji, Sadhguru, Ammaji, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, and finally, when I encountered Paramahansa Nityananda, I felt, oh, I actually had an energy. Sri Lakshmi herself became my bioenergetical mother, and then came Vishnu himself. He's my secret boyfriend, my crush. Jesus is my boyfriend, or rather, I should say, friend, because I think he is more like a friend. I have a good relationship with him. Then came Kalabhairava, lot of time. Then Karvi Nivashni or Kali, and then Varahi, and then Rudra, and then through Rudra I met my teacher, Nityananda. Nitya means eternal, Ananda is bliss. So he teaches me how to be blissful. He says he'll ordain me so I can say be blissful. And I also wanted to be ordained as a saint. Yeah, I have a phonetic memory, so I said taint because I can pronounce it that way. Yeah. They just want to know if there's any concerns. You want me to talk to them? I can put you on the phone if you like. There is no concern. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to keep going further because Sankhya again is liberating logic, truth that helps us understand, right? But truth is dynamic, it's not static. Remember, what I perceive as truth today is different. And if people need to understand this, because truth cannot be held forever. The reason is, let's assume in 1950, somebody went and asked, hey, how do you look up this knowledge? Have you ever heard about internet then? Have you ever heard about PlayStation 4 or Nintendo DS like my kids do? So the truth evolves over time, and each time to reset the truth, the teachers appear. So the teachers are there to modernize the truth so that in spite of our growth, we don't lose who we are from the beginning. So to understand truth, you need to understand the original concept and the context. So that's why my teacher says it goes through 4 processes. One is the Shastra Pramana, which is the original truth, which was written under specific context. And then Atma Pramana, that means my soul understands this context, but I want to desire a certain result from this source. So you go through the desire, which is Apta Pramana, and then Shakshi Pramana. So which means I experiment with it and I see what works, what doesn't. And then I bring it into practice, what is workable, let go of what's not workable, okay? So to understand this, you need to go through these. So 3/4 of the universe is unmanifest and immortal. And if you go for our GNA, only 5% or less is evolved, and 95% is junk DNA. But people think of it as junk DNA. It's because it's turned off so that you don't need, we have the ability to make photosynthesis from the forest. And you could see my forest background. Because we have the ability of the plant, ability of the animals, ability to think like human beings and evolve further like saints. So we have unmanifested possibilities. We have only 100 labels about ourselves, but we have 1,000 possibilities and 10,000 powers according to my teacher. So we need to go further than the limitation we perceive. So now let's go into, because my topic today is only focusing on the Pitta layer, but I wanted to bring it into practice all the other aspects. Pitta is quality reflecting the elements of fire and water. And I'm going to go further because there are three major elements, which is Vata, the air element and a space element, and then Pitta, which is in between. The common form is body of water is shared between Pitta and Kapha, and then the water that ascends is fire, water that descends is Kapha, which is the earth, right? Earth element. It goes into woods. So water and fire is Pitta, water and earth or wood is Kapha. And actually I should say, Ayurveda, again, like, it says evolved from deeper understanding by the seers of ancient India through deep meditation as a spiritual practice. So my teacher says, God, we are the way God wants to see. I see you, like in Avatar. The reason is God wants to know what it will be like us, to see the world through our eyes, to experience the world ups and downs. So we are the manifested form of unmanifest. And I even tell my kids the same thing. I say, if you never make a mistake, you will never know what is to be good and bad. So it's okay to make mistakes. But the only thing is, don't stay stuck there. Life is like sprinting or like, a race or a relay. So the only thing when you fall down is you need to catch up. That's all. The shame is a projection of life taught by people who do not understand life. Life is not about shame. It's about catching up. You did something because your awareness was different. Now that you learned better, you're going to go catch up with your relay race so you can be in sync with others. Ayurvedic teachings are customarily passed on orally from teachers to students. And again, when we come back to Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the body has 72% body water, 12% is earth, 6% is air, 4% is fire. For one to live well here, water plays a major role because 72% of this body is water, 72% of planet is water. Okay. So what I see inside me is also reflected outside. And for this, I played a video yesterday, and I'm going to quickly bring it up so that you guys would watch what we watched. This is by Sadhguru. I love him. I love all the people I have come across. They have such ancient wisdom. And water has memory. This is the video I played originally. And I'm going to go to a space.
Raj Maturi. I'm a physician working in Indianapolis.
Oh, listen. Water. So this lady in the house brought water for me, and she is like Kali. It's a normal part of our hospitality. When somebody comes home, first thing is you bring water. So this lady in the house brought water for me, and she is like Kali suddenly. Not just Kathak, she is like Kali. I looked at her. She's a nice lady. Today she's in the Kali form. So I looked at her and she offered water to me, and I said, Amma, I don't need this water. I don't need to drink this water. You are like Kali right now. I don't need Kali's prasadam right now. I'm fine. She said, why will I poison it? I said, no, you don't have to poison it. It's already done. Then I told her, you take a sip from this glass. She took a sip from the glass. Then I said, give me the glass to me. I held it in my hands for 2 minutes and I just gave it to her. You drink it now. She drank one sip and burst into tears and started crying. She said, it's sweet. I said, that's all the difference it is. Now, your body is over 70% water. If the water in this system behaves in a sweet manner, will you be at least 70% sweet? If the air and earth behaves sweetly within you, will you be at least 90% sweet? Space is never bothering anybody, isn't it? So, the essential science of yoga is about Bhuta Shuddhi, taking charge of the elements within the system. Once you have control over the elements in the system, you can also influence the elements around you. Essentially, your whole work with life, your whole work in the world is just with the elements always, in a very basic form, isn't it? So if you have certain mastery over this, you will, what you want, you don't even have to think about it. Your intention, you don't have to generate a thought. Just before you intend, that is how life will work out for you. So success is not an uphill task. If you raise this to a higher place, if you raise this to the highest place it can reach, then everything is downhill. Downhill you can run easily, or uphill you can run easily. Definitely downhill, isn't it? So is there any scientific evidence? There's substantial scientific evidence today about how the molecular structure of the water can be rearranged without changing the chemical structure, even with a simple thought or a touch. The problem is, your grandmother told you this, didn't she? Didn't your grandmothers tell you, you should not drink water from anybody's hand, do not take food from anybody, there is a certain way, you must receive only if they have good intentions for you? Did they tell you these things? But when your grandmother said it, the problem is, if it goes from the east, it is superstition. If it comes from the west, it becomes science. That's where it is. That has to change. Your generation of people, that's your responsibility to change that. That even if it goes from the science, east, if it is science, it's science.
The thing, what I'm learning from Sadhguru is his task is to raise a very wonderful human being in future, so that we will be a prime example of how to be, so the Western world can modern a behavior that is exemplary. That's why you call it inner engineering. And my teacher, Paramahamsa Nityananda's goal is to recreate all the original scriptures, so we can use the original source book instead of all the distorted versions which is out there, which is a manipulated form of new age yoga, another method taught by people whose motive is to just create material abundance without going through the original context, not giving credit for where they learn from. And then Sri Bhagwan, who is, so my goal is to work with Paramahamsa Nityananda and recreate Positive Anonymous 12-step program, because I find in Western world, it works better if I don't follow the religious aspect, instead use the Western method to Positive Anonymous. And I'm going to focus on unwholesome behavior, which was given by Master Chotoksui as a word to capture all the entities that belong to paranormal with its own manipulative power to manipulate the humankind. So he coined the word unwholesome, and it's to change the behavior. And my higher power is Paramahamsa Nityananda. He is my spiritual sponsor, and he's a spiritual genius for Pastor Anonymous 12-step program. And through him, I am developing this program so to be taught to the Western world. Sri Bhagwan is creating Oneness University, which he's going to teach through Tony Robbins, who is using the Oneness model where you see a separation. The separation part is where you digress and you need to understand how to work with each other so you come to the common ground. My 12-step model is going to be completion training, which is taught by Paramahamsa Nityananda, which will allow people to heal the words that have so much pain buried in them, disengage, and just to listen with pure intention of just listening. And this is all available in completion.training. And my goal is to just create completion training for people through Positive Anonymous group. And we got it accredited to American Academy of Health Professionals in Addictive Disorders. And we are going to go just with the 12-step program so that we are helping people no matter what their religious faith or the stuff, as a sponsor, as a sponsor that comes from pure spiritual intention. And the next one is, how did this all start? So the wisdom of the science of cooking directly came from God. Avyakta is the unmanifested principle, and he came, the Purusha and Prakriti, where, like, they then becomes, like, manifested, which is the way God wants to see himself in us. So these unmanifested became manifest through that. So we are a statement of God. God is a state of us. So having, Tony Robbins says this, a breakthrough moment happens in life when at a snap of a finger, you decide at that moment, I am not going to be in that state, and I'm going to change the state, whether it's a physical or emotional state, and feel differently and change my behavior. So I'll achieve what I want. So remember, state happens in a second. That's why in India, God is considered essence of time. Okay, breakthrough moment is a moment in time, and it could be micro millisecond. We have no idea. Anyway, Bhagavad Shastra for cooking, Nityananda Dhyanapitam in South India made a surprising discovery that the textbook for cooking was the one that Sadashiva used to reveal the secrets of science of cooking to his energy wife Parvati. And Nityananda then launched the Analaya project, which is free kitchens worldwide, 24th January 2013. And his YouTube video is available when he started that project. And this is what he commented about the Bhagavad Gita book, which, like, my teacher is so generous. He shares everything generously. All his books are free to download. The only reason you pay sometimes is print on demand. If in case you want it printed, that's the only time he charges. Everything he has is given free. Online, he has like 4,000 videos. He has 20 million followers. So you can go follow him and directly learn from him. So he's commented, Mahadeva has written a beautiful book called Bhagavad Shastra. It is attributed to attributed to Mahadeva. I feel the book is so beautiful. Anybody who has written it, he's already in the space of Mahadeva. So he feels like it could be God himself or the space of God, the person who's holding the space of God. So he's accepting both versions. So very boldly and courageously, we can say it is written by Mahadeva. Nothing needs to be doubted. The book describes beautifully about cooking vessel, the way of cooking, temperature that needs to be maintained for each item to be cooked, and has 200 items described in a book called Bhagavad Shastra, which the book must be 20 to 30,000 years old. And the way things are described, the way things were available, it's so beautiful. Now I played another one because after he came across this book, he decided to do this celebration, 21-day celebration, where he decided to feed all of us who came and worked with him to be treated like God and goddesses, to be given food 3 times a day, 40 items per meal, because that's what recommended, it seems, by the book. And he says not even a single item has to be skipped. I was so full, I couldn't even eat the whole thing. So I'm going to go back to that video where they asked me to talk about his food. And I always, I worship God in the form of food. If I used to go to the Hindu temple in Ashland, Lakshmi temple, because they were selling food for $1. My husband went there to meditate, and that's how we got married, because he's much more sincere than me. And then I used to go to church, Adoration Chapel, where Jesus used to be in the form of bread. And I feel food is God to me. And whoever gives me free food, they are representative of God. So I went because he gave me free food. He says, you want to talk about it? I said, of course, I want to celebrate food. So I am going to go to my favorites video again. And this is what I played with them. And my video. When Swamiji. No.
Okay. We have Vasu, who has an experience to share about the Nityananda Analaya, of course, Sadashiva's kitchen.
My name is Vasu Brown. I practice orthomolecular medicine, which is holistic physician practice in the United States. And when I left India in 1993, my mom died 5 years later. This is the last gift she gave me, Annapurni from Kashi. And I felt I lost my home. I felt homeless since then because I felt like my in-laws are in America, American, I'm married to an American, and I felt I couldn't come home. And when Swamiji sent out the invite, welcome home, I felt so healed just to even hear that word. So I know destination Bengaluru is permanent for me. So I heard him say that he's preparing for a groom's family, and I feel I attended a 21-day wedding celebrations. And he treated us literally like God and goddesses. He fed us personally. Each one got a scoop from him. And the items were 40 different items prepared according to Bhagashastra by Agamas, which I never knew God would make such delicious meals. And this was given 3 times per day, plus snacks, plus tea, coffee, and whatever you want to eat in addition. And my mom used to always make the kottavarangavathal, and I used to go up a tree in my yard. So it felt so nice. It almost felt like I came home. I loved that feeling. So on the 3rd day of Mandala, when they needed to do the Mandala, I stayed back. I did the Mandala. I didn't realize I was accountable to go get on my bus. I didn't realize it, so I missed my bus, so to speak. So, but then I said, you know what, Swamiji will take care of me. So let me finish my job. So I finished around 3 o'clock, and the girl from Hong Kong, who is a volunteer, she allowed me to bring me to the dorm, and that's when I met the bride side. So I could see the groom side on the Chancery Hotel, bride side, and the bride side was beautiful. They were always eager to hear, what did Swamiji say today? What did they give as gift today? So they'll always tune in. So I always went to my bathroom break on the bride side, and I stayed at night on the groom side, so to speak. And then the next thing that happened, the magic. My mom, actually, I'm a clairvoyant. So my mom, after she died, she showed me she was under a banyan tree with lots of souls meditating together in silence. So I saw that banyan tree, and I felt my soul felt so fulfilled. And when he did the Maheshwara Puja, it was amazing. He did Bisibelavat, that's what I called it. And he scooped out and gave, literally we were eating out of his hand. And he scooped out 1 handful, and I couldn't hold it with 2 hands. And the most magical piece was his mom, who was the first saint, and all the other saints fed each other. And I was saying, what a beautiful thing. They say in heaven, the forks are very long, so they feed each other. In hell, it's short, so they always, in hell, they try to feed each other themselves, and they never get fulfilled. And I could literally see how it is being in heaven, like feeding each other. And that was a beautiful moment, and how Swamiji was like making everybody sing and making fun of them. And that was the most precious thing I witnessed. And like they say, he fed my mind, body, soul, anything I wanted. And like the prayer that goes, Om Namo Bhagavatiya Annapurne Mama Bilasitam Annam Dehi Swaha. He fed every aspect of my being. And I'm so blessed. And finally I can say to Swamiji, Mom, I'm home.
Those in the back who didn't hear, Swamiji replied, welcome home.
So I had the privilege of eating God's food prepared by God himself. And this person is the one who runs the Bhagashastra show for Swamiji. And I'm so grateful. Swamiji calls every female there as Ma. So this Ma, the mother of cooking, she uses all the traditional utensils which was recommended by Bhagashastra. You could see like all the storage is a porcelain material they use. And she does everything from scratch, and the most delicious. Oh my God, the food, I have never had such a privilege of eating such wonderful food. And for 21 days in a row, this is the best thing I have ever done in my life. Now, to continue, Vata is the energy of movement. And also, my teacher uses a different word, which I found it easier to use. He splits energy into three different pieces. One is the bio-memory, bioenergy, and muscle memory. So Vata is bio-memory. See, like energetic bioenergy, it says. Actually, it's energetic biomemory because consciousness is there, Akashic record is there. So it's biomemory. So Vata represents the air principle in our body, also represents the wind energy in the universe. It's an energetic biomemory. It should be biomemory. And Vata or Vayu is responsible for any type of movement, is the controller and motivator of all mechanisms in our body. There are 5 types of Vata. Prana, which is ascending energy. Apana is descending energy. And when Apana is combined with undigested energy, it gets stuck, and that's when you develop body aches and pains. That's why in India they call it gas pain. Then comes the Udana, Vyana, Samana. Of these, Samana is what we want to aim for. It's the balancing midline energy. And that allows us to come into balance so that you are in the pure space of oneness. That's one we're focusing on. Now, to go into Pitta. Pitta is energy of transformation. Pitta is the middle shaft, the energy that purely transforms. And this is where the vibrational aspects of universe happens. And we are in the vibration of Rudra, which is, we have apparently 14 different universes, and our universe is the energy of frequency. That it makes sense because through frequency you can transform anything from anything. So originally the God himself transformed the word into light. Remember how it said word was with God, word became God. So word transformed into vibration, into matter, matter became the universe. So Pitta represents the fire principle in the body. It also represents the solar energy of the universe. The solar energy frequency is actually, solar energy frequency is 528 hertz. That's the same blade of grass also emits 528 hertz. It resets the whole DNA of our body and DNA of the universe. Pitta is thermogenic bioenergy. There is a story I shared. There was a guy who was meditating to Lord Sadashiva, and he wanted all the boon to be granted. He was all made up with mind, and he had very good knowledge, but he had no good intention. He didn't have a good depth. So every energetic entity could see there was a problem the minute he would be granted the boon. He started praying. He was doing all the right things. They didn't want the power to, use for wrong purpose. So all energy got together. They made him mute, meaning like Muk. They call it Muk Ambika. So she, I feel, is the first time who created autism, this night perception of Mukambika. So he wouldn't ask for what he wanted, and he became so destructive, and eventually she destroyed him. What it essentially is destroying the arrogance. So Pitta is about destroying the arrogance in us so that we bring the pure sense of oneness inside. And this is what India is focusing on now. India, many saints are coming together. They are saying we are going to triple our population in the universe. And at some point, we are going to have the same amount of food, but double the amount to share. And if we don't learn how to do it right now, we are not going to get there in time. So what they are going to teach people is how to be the best human being in the world, to get exactly what you need, and to build this universe. And I'm so thrilled to be part of this project. And I can see why we are all coming together for this purpose. So Pitta is, if we reset Pitta inside, because Pitta is what makes us raise our middle finger. And it is the umbilical energy that goes through. It is the transformative energy. It transforms the fetus in mother's belly to the human being, transforms the energy, bioenergy in the universe to a fetus. It is the energy of transformation. Interestingly, right, I do lymphedema therapy for my patients. Actually, my whole life evolved because I wanted to be what others wanted of me. So I was working as a hospitalist, and I always used to say, even with gardening, I'll do the same thing. I say, if I'm going to garden, who am I serving? A bird. So if I'm flying around, I would rather put a nest on a home that will be safe for my babies. Same way, when I was a hospitalist, I said, if I'm a CEO, what would I want to see in my staff? So I went and asked my medical director, what do you want me to be? They were doing a wound care center, and they wanted me to help out. So I asked the wound care doctor, and he says, we don't have a good lymphedema person. And I said, lymphatics is flow of life. So it made sense for me to do the lymphatics. When I learned lymphatics, I understood when you have mastectomy and stuff, they said, you shouldn't put a needle in your arm because the lymphatics will get overwhelmed. They said, what is my alternative for acupuncture then? So I said, laser. So I went to learn laser, and my teacher was a black teacher. So I wanted to ask him, because I was watching Obama's video, and it looks like he had this powerlessness coming from a place where he has never owned this powerfulness of being black. And my teacher says black is 3-dimensional granite and black is 2-dimensional. So he always owned only 2 dimension. He never went into the depth. And when you come from a powerless place, you'll make poor choices because your self-image is so low, you're going to be so arrogant to prove that you're better. Whereas when you come from a depth, you don't need to prove. There is a story that goes where a dragon was challenged by a coyote, and the coyote said, oh, show me that you can change yourself to a dragonfly. So the dragon says, of course I can. So he turned into a dragonfly, but that's when the coyote snapped him and captured him. And so then he became the dragonfly. The story is, you never need to prove to people how strong you are. You are who you are. You don't need to prove, because it's not your problem if they don't perceive you. So that's the same thing with Pitta. You don't need to let people know bioenergetically what a patient. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and I'll get back to this later. Let me back. I'm going to pause. Okay, so to get back, Pitta is the thermogenic bioenergy, is responsible for production of heat, conversion of transformation of our body is carried out by Pitta, and there are 5 subtypes of Pitta. And I was talking about the laser. So when I met my black teacher, I was asking him, hey, so he was talking about like each different tissue responds to different colors. And so I was asking, what does black mean to us? So he says, oh, the black, I'm not sure how to answer it, because he says black is existent in our brain. Black is not a color, but the brain replaces anything that's empty. The space is what is represented as black, but black is not a color. And that fascinated me. So I'm like talking to people, and he says both the gamma spectrum, which is the down side of the laser, and the after the infrared on the other side of the spectrum, Vibgayar, will be black, he was saying to the brain. So then one person in the audience replied, do you know black is the color of transformation? Because what it does is it absorbs light energy and sends it as heat. I was thinking, wow. And that was a moment in my life I felt black can transform any energy and transmute it to the energy you need. Remember how they said a sun and the wind was fighting. They wanted to show each other who is stronger. Okay, the sun, remember solar energy, wind is the vata energy, right? So the wind decided to test a man whether he will take off his jacket. So he blew and blew and blew and blew. And the man kept holding on to his jacket very, very hard. Then the sun's turn came, and the sun warmed him, warmed him, warmed him. Finally, he was able to remove his jacket and relax. So that's what transformation is. And I was thinking, wow, what a beautiful thing, right? So if we reset Pitta layer, we can reset everything in life. I'm going to tell you why it's important, because my teacher explains Pitta is the reason for mood swings. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell you where he says that.
At 305th day of the Venkateshwara Brahmotsavam, Swamiji invokes the blessings of
Ashtanga Yoga as a part of the, which, why it looks so complicated, you know. Your brain gets covered with a thin, subtle layer of Pitta, which puts you in certain delusion, constantly makes you believe your assumptions, assumed fears as a part of your reality. Listen, as part of the Shashtanga Yoga, Sadashiva gives one important instruction in Agama. Bliss comes from non-violent activities. Understand? That is what he calls Sattvika Ananda. He says that is an antidote for the layer of Pitta to be cleansed.
on the 6th day of the Navaratri.
So you could see why it is important to understand Pitta layer, because if you understand Pitta layer, you will know how to be happy no matter what the external circumstances is. Once you reset Pitta, you can reset your whole universe. So I love Pitta layer. I have another patient. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so I want to go back into the Pitta energy of transformation. As I said, Pitta layer reset will reset many things in our life. Kapha is energy of cohesion, which is the muscle memory, like my spiritual sponsor says, and it represents the water principle of the body. It is the feminine force, which in India they call it Kumbh, where the water energy comes down. And this again, I played a video. It also represents the moon. Water is consciousness, the moon energy of the universe. It's a cohesive energy responsible for bonding and support. And I'm going to go back and play the video played for my class. And this way.
Do you know what the #1 killer of testosterone for men over 40 is? This.
Go on to the entire. So the Kumbh, or the science of making use of the confluence of rivers at certain latitudes, came not because of belief, not because of some blind faith. This came because of keen observation of how life and the different forces around us function and how we can ride that, how we can make use of that. The modern science is beginning to open its eyes to this, that between equator, that is the 0 degrees latitude, to 33 degrees latitude, the centrifugal force that the planet generates because of its spin largely works in a vertical manner. As you go further north, it becomes tangential, but here it works in a vertical manner. 11 degrees centigrade is one place where it is perfectly vertical. So after much search within myself, we established the Isha Yoga Center at 11 degrees latitude, because if one is doing sadhana, the maximum benefit happens here, because the Earth's centrifugal force is pushing everything upward in a vertical manner rather than in a tangential manner. So from 0 to 33 degrees, This was known as the sacred land on the planet because spiritual sadhana found at most results or maximum results happen in this region for whatever sadhana that an individual person does.
So, as I was sharing that video, what I was bringing up was that there was a question that was brought up when Sadhguru shared about the mandala.
The forces are working in a certain way, and those places were identified as places to be on that particular day or that particular period. Wherever two water bodies are meeting with a certain force, it creates a churning of water. This body being over 72% water, being there at that particular time, when it is in a particular nakshatra in the solar system, in the solar cycle, the maximum benefit happens to the body. In the ancient times, everybody understood that this mandala of 48 days, if you stay at the Kumbh and every day you're in that water with the appropriate sadhana attached to it, you could transform your physical body, your psychological framework, your energy framework, and above all, find enormous spiritual growth within you within a span of one mandala, which is 48 days.
So, the reason, so this brought up a question, what is a mandala? See, the DNA vibrates at 54. There are three specifics associated with it. There are 7 chakras, and there are 7 sub-layers in those chakras. So 7 times 7 is 49. By vibrating each tissue a specific way for that 48 days, you can reset your DNA and give yourself a new lease on life, so to speak. So that was the theory behind it. And I went into the specific with the audience afterwards. Then Vata is space and air energy. Pitta is fire and water energy. Vata promotes fear and anxiety if it is not in balance. Pitta, fire and water, arouses jealousy, lust, and not to be able to be happy for others. Kapha is the energy that is neediness. So it allows people, and it is balanced by earth and water, not in balance, it in needy, greedy, like hoarding and stuff. Okay? Then because it was like a little bit like all jumbled together, I went over again what is the movement, so space and air, and people who are not in balance become very, very anxious. And if they're a Vata body type, Pitta is people, actually anger is a buried sadness. So initially it is like, not be able to get what they want, that conditional love, which becomes jealousy, lustful, eventually becomes sarcasm. And that's what I was telling people, that sarc means flush, chasm is cutting deep. So people who are very out of balance, that's why they raise their middle finger, they get angry, they shout, yell, and they show their frustration because they are not able to have unconditional love. So Pitta arouses the core emotions in us, which again is influenced by environmental toxin. Sterols, corticosterols, which is induced in stress, converts into Pitta layer. That's why people waking up with headache, have extreme stress. And body's detox mechanism, liver has to process, some people have issues, will have issues with Pitta layer. Kapha is the energy layer for earth and water element, and it is the one that allows us to move together and create structure in life. And out of balance leads to being clingy, needy, and also this is where body aches and pains, fibromyalgia, fatigue, arthritis, all this will come into play. Now, the gunas, like sattvic is like being in the neutral, rajasic is movement, and tamasic is fatigue. Tamasic, usually kapha imbalances forces them to. Rajas is the pitta guna, and sattvic is vata, but you can have a cusp. And these are like, the 5-element theory, and which was addressed before. I was just going over. And now I went to the specific of diet, which in summer, Pitta is high. So the spicy food aggravates, because when you're high in Pitta, you want to have a, like, more water-based diet. Like, because we are 72% body water. So remember, you want to have 2/3 of food as water-based. So when you have a spicy food, in addition to the original water loss, it creates more thirst. So it goes out of balance when you do spicy, pungent, astringent foods. Autumn is vata time, where when it's dry, avoid dry foods because the air becomes so dry. So you want to nourish with more. And vata loves warm, lukewarm, or like soupy type of food. Or rasam, like if it is Indian. Winter, kapha, is like, the time to watch out for. Very mucousy, so they will get aggravated. And especially kapha has a craving for sugar. So ice cream, dairy will make them secrete more because it's more inflammatory for them. And when you eat the incompatible food together, the tridosha goes into imbalance. And so to balance it, eat when you're hungry, drink when you're thirsty, and if you're hungry, solids, if thirsty, liquids. And when you do solids, the juices or lukewarm water should be just in between, not at the end, and chew 32 times, because 32 is like regeneration. And food has to be 33% food, 33% water, 33% air. So meaning, like, when you chew, you're swallowing some air too. So that allows food not to be so compacted, so it goes in easy. Then what is a typical diet recommended? It's 2 handfuls for food, because each handful is stomach size. So when you eat 2 handful, you are ballooning the stomach. So when you do too much, the stomach keeps expanding and expanding, and no satiation comes in. So that's why we do it that way. And also ingest water while drinking, not at the end. For indigestion, use warm water. Cleanse and increase the agni. Don't put out the agni. Vata fasting should be not more than 72 hours. Pitta not more than 84 hours. The reason for Vata not more than 72 hours is, even if you have Nirahara Samya and do 2 days of liquid diet followed by 1 day solids, the reason is Vata already is lightheaded, and like, they literally are used to living with less food. So they need to drink more. Nir Ahara, meaning you need to have a stomach full with water or juices, but at the same time, you want to be ahead of hunger. Pitta goes through the phase 2 cleanse. Vata is phase 1 cleanse. Phase 1 cleanse means kidney, if it is flowing, kidney energy is good, Vata is good. And Vata, if kidney energy is only disrupted if there is any scars or trauma in the body. So Vata will go into imbalance if there is scars and trauma. So you need to mud pack and understand what mud packs are. Pitta, on the hand, is phase 2 cleanse. Phase 2 cleanse is the what is called the oil, or like, it has to be processed through the liver. So the oil based toxins are coming in. So when lipolysis happens, the toxin that comes in, if pitta not in balance, it will make them more sick, because the phase 2 cleanse, the enzymes have to be active. So for pitta, if you're going to do a fast, you need to have enzyme diet. So plant enzyme based diet, bromelains, like, juices that you create more enzymes. So you need to eat more enzyme based food. Kapha can tolerate longer periods of diet change. Then juices, what juices are recommended? Grape for Vata, or like, grape like juices, which has more limonene as a terpene. That's because when you chew and stuff, when you eat, it crosses through the blood-brain barrier and create more alertness, and this disintegrates the pitta layer in the brain. Also, limonene alkalinizes the acidic bile, so there is no burning sensation in the belly. Pitta, on the other hand, is more enzyme based. So you would want to use pomegranate juice or pineapple juice, which has, like, terpenol. Nerol is from rose. This is where I played the video called Deep Fat Solution, because I think the fat is holding toxic signals inside the fat cells. And because of that, they send signals that hormonally alters the brain, the way we perceive. When there is hormonal alteration, there's mood swings. So the mood disruption is a major issue. Pitta, cup and delusion and paranoid status and stuff. So we reset it with vitamin C therapy, vitamin C injections, and enzyme-based diet. And a kappa, on the other hand, is apple. As a juice is recommended because it allows the anti-inflammatory properties of apple to work through that. Now, these are the previous lectures which I reiterated, and this is a case study I went over. My son, this is one of the wellness physical I was doing. And when we did the Zyto scan, which is a biofeedback scan, his normal range was 9.53. And I'm going to share 8 to 16 is emotional layer. I'm going to briefly go over what each numbers mean. It might be a little bit too much for you guys, but just for completion, I'm going to share so that people who are watching me afterwards will know where I'm getting these numbers from. I work with sound health options with Shari Edwards, and she's a great teacher. So you need to understand 0 to 0.1 to 0.2 cycles per second. If it is an imbalance, it's biomagnetic energy. That's all. 2 to 4 cycles per second is bioelectric energy. 4 to 8 cycles is biochemical energy, where they need nutrition. 8 to 16 cycles per second is emotional reset needs to happen. And 16 to 32 cycles per second is structural, which is kappa. 32 to 64 cycles per second is neurophysical energy, which is actually biomemory and muscle memory together. And then 64 to 128 is connective tissue, which is the pitta layer. Okay. So interestingly, he had an episode where he was stressed over the weekend, and you could see immediately because it was emotional. Emotional, what happens? So you worry, and when you worry, the vata layer, right? Because the worry is associated with stomach, spleen, and when the stomach and spleen is affected with extreme worry, then the spleen, which is the energy giver of the body, goes into stress. When the spleen goes into stress, the immunity is lost, and when immunity is lost, people contract infection. So he developed a sinus infection. And if you see his priorities, is lumbar 1, which is the first element is, I think it's hard to read. It is actually related to the wood energy, which is earth energy, because each lumbar spine is related to element, and each cervical spine is related to a planet. That's why the mandala, which I spoke about earlier, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. Is C1 is Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, and then it's Venus, Mercury, Moon. So when you want to reset the body during Kumbh, you want to do 7-layer reset of 7 planets. And that's why the 48-day mandala. So you reset your whole vibration. And if you want to reset the elements, it's lumbar, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. Each one is associated with an element. And I don't want to go over that right now because I think it's way over our head, because my goal was to do digestion and nutrition. And then I finished with my website is facebook.com. I'm going to add my YouTube channel. This Heal Now TV. That goes to my YouTube channel, okay? And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching this. And I wanted to reiterate so that we finish the lecture on time. And I really appreciate everybody coming into my space and listening to me. And I wish you all the very best. And my goal is to be the exemplary human being God wants me to be. And I wish you all the same. Thank you. Be blissful, like my teacher says. Nityanandam.